Story of this one's easy. Jayson Tatum, absolute stud, absolute beast, best American player in basketball. You can argue with your mother about that. We aren't trying to hear it.
Oh. Absolutely pathetic to imagine that a competitive organization would tip their hand that badly that a team felt confident trading behind them was that confident they still wouldn't take the guy they wanted, wouldn't even think of it, and they never did. So,
yeah.
Pretty unreal.
We're
Incompetence,
so
by the
we
way.
got so. I'm not gonna lie. You kind of had me in the first half with your pitch about Levine. I was like, it sounds like it's everything the Nuggets need, and then you're like,
Might be worth a try.
However, he sucks at defense. It's like, okay, well maybe it's not what the Nuggets need. I don't know actually.
Should've never sent him to pick up the work for me. Sprayed the park and had my shit inside the car. Marcus Smart boy was shooting with a 36 on him. Said if he wasn't in a rush, they was all goners.
All right. Greetings, Chudlings. Welcome to another episode of Chuddy's Corner. It is Saturday, December 21st, and the Celtics bounce back for the sixth time this year to come back and win after a loss. They moved to 6-0 after losses. 123-98 win against the Bulls in Chicago. Story of this one's easy. Jayson Tatum, absolute stud, absolute beast, best American player in basketball. You can argue with your mother about that. We aren't trying to hear it. He had 43 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists tonight. Shot 16 from 24 from the field, 9 for 15 from 3. He had 18 points in the third quarter alone. Put his stamp all over this game. Just an absolute Tatum masterclass. Bringing in Chuddy, what did you think of this game? What did you think of Tatum? Again, like I said, kind of just a Tatum masterclass. This was exactly the type of game you want to see.
Yeah, really was. We talk about the Celtics, how it seems like every 4 out of 5 games they're just going to win, and it does seem like once every 10 games or so, Tatum's just going to go nuclear, and that was really the difference between this game and last game, especially, first half felt pretty similar to the game the other night with the Bulls. Thought they were playing well, hanging around, doing a good job, and, I thought we were playing well too. It was the same story. It felt like we just could not hit 2 threes in a row. Shooting, again, I thought we were generating a lot of good looks, missing a lot of good looks. Derek White is in pretty big shooting slump. And I thought a lot of the stuff that kind of was frustrating from last game, we turned around, starting with, I thought, Jaylen in the first half, actually. It's going to kind of get lost in the shuffle of Tatum's explosion, but I thought in the first half, Jaylen was doing exactly what I kind of called for him to do last game, which was just go full bully ball in this team. They have no rim protector with Vucevic, and they have no wings who can really keep him in front, especially him and Tatum. They had, probably Patrick Williams mostly on Tatum, so it's usually a smaller guard, not a great defender on Brown. It seemed like that light bulb kind of went off in his head, and he was just getting to the rim over and over again. I thought helped kind of get us that lead, but still the shooting was a complete struggle, and then Tatum obviously completely taking over, especially in that third quarter, like you mentioned. And it's the final score, would we end up winning by 25? We were up almost 30 in the fourth quarter, turned into a laugher, but I think this was still like a 4 or 5 point game midway through the third quarter almost. They were hanging around playing well, and then, it was like Tatum just completely went to another level, and also, much like Brown, you look at the final box score, you're going to see 9 of 15 from 3 and think it was kind of one of those Tatum games where it was just 3-ball. But also, it seemed like he really got himself going by getting to the basket. A few really good drives going back to the first half. He had, off the top of my head, he had the one absolute facial on poor Jalen Smith, who just got the same treatment from Jaylen Brown last year. So on the wrong end of 2 of those bad boys. But even other than that, it seemed like Tatum was just being extra aggressive, getting to the rim. What do you have, like 4 dunks on the game? Probably his season high, certainly. It seemed like he was dunking left and right, had a few other really good finishes around the rim. So again, last game where it sounded like we were saying he maybe even got a little too tied up in the officials, a little too frustrated with not finishing around the rim, not getting contact. I felt like tonight he was just like, I'm not leaving anything to the refs. I'm finishing these hard, and that was what he did. And it seemed like those kind of got him going, and then the 3 got going. And again, as we've said, time after time after time, when he gets hot from the threes like he was today off the dribble, there is truly no stopping him, and that's usually when you see these kind of special runs. 43, 16, 10, and if not for having such a big lead and sitting basically the last 6 minutes or whatever, could easily have been even more. Only the second, 40, 15, 10 with 9 threes, triple-double in NBA history, and I think only like the 8th or 10th, even without the threes. So unreal effort by Tatum that fueled the big win.
Yeah. All right, for a second there, I got confused for a second there because you were talking about Jaylen and I didn't pick up when you switched over back to Tatum. But I do think that Jaylen did kind of get things going in the first. He had 9 points in the first quarter. And it was funny, too, because you mentioned Tatum not playing the last 6 minutes. I also feel like in the first quarter, he had only, I think, like 3 points, like, or something like that. So,
yeah.
If this was a game where he got going really early, then this could have been something truly historic. It was pretty interesting, too. The stat line, too, of the did you see that James Harden's like the only other player with those? But that stat line was like 50, 16, and 17 or something like
19,
that. Like that's
I think he had 19 assists, 53 points.
That's crazy. That's a pretty all-time game for him.
Harden has quickly become very underappreciated for how damn good he was for those few years, just because they didn't win it all. But that's another topic.
Well, and I just feel like he's kind of like I don't know.
Yeah, but like he was
sort of rubs people the wrong way. Right. Oh, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, this game, I mean, there's really not outside of, it's just good to see Tatum every now and then get a chance to have a game like this. You know, I think it's, if you're still at the point where you don't think that he could be doing this every night, I just don't think you understand what you're watching when you watch basketball. But so it's nice every now and then when he kind of gets to have these. And again, and Mazzulla said it too, he was doing it all within the flow of the game too. It wasn't really he was doing anything
24 shots.
Crazy. Yeah, 24 shots. Exactly.
Super efficient.
Just an all-time night. I got to listen to the second and third quarter. I was listening to this on the radio, which is like, it's always kind of funny when a player is like, a couple of thoughts on the radio. The first thing is it's just funny when a player starts going off like that when you're listening on the radio. Because I don't know. There's just something about it. Like I don't know if just the announcers or whatever. Grandy obviously does a great job. Maxwell does a great job, but it just was like, you're just like trying to keep control of the car and like also being like, oh my God, like what is Tatum doing? Like, this is crazy. He's going absolutely nuclear. I'm trying to keep my eyes on the road and pay attention to the road. But also one thing I noticed on the radio was just the pace of this game was like so insane. By the time they got done saying the basket, there was like already an attempt on the other end. So I didn't see, I feel like fourth quarter, that wasn't the case, but like, was that third quarter just like an absolute track meet or what? Because it seemed like it on the radio.
Well,
like, you really noticed the pace.
A little bit. It seemed like there were not a lot of whistles, not a ton of fouls, nothing kind of breaking up. It was open-ended, back and forth. And again, for the most part, the Bulls were kind of right there with us. They didn't play or shoot quite as well as they did the other night. You saw, obviously, Zach LaVine was kind of the best player on the floor in their win over us on Thursday. And tonight, LaVine, I think, only had like 14, 4 and 4. So we did a much better job defensively. But, I mean, they were still making shots. They were still playing well, and they were still taking it right to us on the other end. I thought we just played a lot harder on defense, didn't allow quite as many of those good looks from outside. But yeah, I mean, we've talked about the Bulls, that big change, getting rid of DeRozan and kind of leaning into just pace and pace, almost the way we play. Obviously, don't have the talent, but you can see that play style, how it kind of keeps them in games, keeps things interesting, and they do play hard, they play fast, so that was fun. And then when it started going for us, then it really got going. And again, like you said, Tatum's performance really masked the fact that it was really another rough shooting night, because I think he was 9 of 15, and as a team, no one else really shot well. Like I said, Derek White, I think, was 0 for 6. I don't think anyone else made more than 2. It was kind of an off.
Yeah, as a team, they were 15 of 45, so they only made 6 non-Tatum threes.
So 6 for 30 outside of Tatum. Again, that's pretty terrible for the rest of those guys.
Awful.
So he kind of masked that. And again, before he took the game over, it was almost like deja vu. I kept thinking, I was like, every time we got one to fall, and it was like, okay, is that finally going to be the dam breaking and we're going to go on a little run here? And it just wasn't happening. And then Tatum, it was like, all right, he was just like, I'm going to do this myself. It started with him going, I think it was actually right after the possession where Derek White actually missed 3 threes on one possession. Pritchard got 2 offensive rebounds, kicked it out, 3 great looks, just none of them would fall. And then the next possession, Tatum got the ball and he just took it so hard right at the rack, drove all the way for a layup. And it was almost like he was just saying, all right, like, enough of this. And he really did take over. I think he scored like 10 points, I want to say, in like the last 3 minutes of that third quarter even. So I think you said he had like 18, 5 and 4
deep threes
just
too.
In that quarter. And then a 3 on like the last 2 possessions that was just felt like almost the dagger, and obviously continued right into the fourth. Even when he was off the court, it was like that sparked us. The rest of the guys played well. Tatum, I wasn't sure if he would come back in, because we certainly haven't cared. I know he was sitting on that 9. He was, I think, at 34, like 14 and 9 after the third, resting, and the lead was up in the 20s. But
yeah,
they
they
did
put
get
him in. He
back
hit
out
like
there to get that.
another couple of threes, and it's like,
Yeah.
all right, hold on, needs the assist. He had 3 games, I think, so far this year. They said where he was
Right.
either a rebound or an assist
Yeah.
short of a triple double.
It's definitely felt like it. He deserved it.
Yeah, and I feel like that honestly helps the case for putting him back in. Because it's like, guys, we don't stat chase 3 times. We've benched him. Like,
Right.
just gotta let him get it. So this was this was an unreal Tatum game, and it's just in the midst of all the discourse about the NBA and all that stuff, it's just nice to see what we have and just what our star players are capable of doing. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, I don't think he's the best American player in the world, right? Like, there's no, like, who would be the closest competition, do you think?
I think you'd still say Curry, Anthony Davis, guys like that. Oh, I don't think are there yet. But I think if you would say actual like best, I mean, Curry's probably the only guy who has a strong case, I would say right now.
I'd say that's more of a resume case, though. No.
Yeah, but he's still pretty damn good, though. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
I'm agreeing. It is Tatum is the best across the board. I mean, Embiid obviously just played for the U.S. team in the Olympics. He's not that he's in the conversation right now, but in terms of guys who have like recently been in the MVP race. But other than that, I mean, it's kind of those old guys, like I said, Curry, Durant, LeBron, Anthony Davis.
Yeah, Durant was what I was kind of thinking of as like maybe just like pure basketball, but I don't know. Tatum just does so much, just both sides of the floor. It's just, this is one of those games where you really, obviously the offensive numbers are sick, but we're lucky. We are blessed. And again, this is always, I think maybe you get a little nostalgic because it's juxtaposed on Lonzo Ball playing for the Bulls now, not even the Lakers, got drafted right before Tatum. It's just so,
Markelle Fultz not even in the league right now.
Yeah. Wait, so he's not on the Magic anymore?
No, he's a free agent. He just didn't get signed. He's still a free agent currently.
Dude, wow. We are so blessed. God.
Yeah.
That's funny to think about. It really never stops being funny to think about that it's our 2 biggest rivals too. Like, it just makes it, if it was another team, I'd feel a little bad. Like, if it was like the Hornets screwed that up, it'd be like, God damn, poor guys. Like,
yeah, and not even to go on a complete tangent, but did you actually hear Magic Johnson on that podcast recently talking about it? Because they actually, I forget what pod he was on, but they asked him like about that draft, and I mean, poor Magic. They should never put a keyboard or a mic in front of the guy. But if I was a Lakers fan listening to this, oh my God, I would have absolutely lost it. He basically said, the way he said it was as if he was right, and it was like a gotcha, and everyone else was like an idiot. He was like, the thing is, we couldn't take Tatum because we already had too many forwards. And then he's like, we had Brandon Ingram, we had just taken. We had Julius Randle, we had Larry Nance. And it's just
Larry Nance, yeah, that's good.
Yes, you had a team that just went 26-56, and it's fucking awful. You couldn't take by far the best player because he played kind of the same position as a few guys you already had, who obviously haven't now been on the team in many years. It's just like, oh my God.
Larry
awful
Nance.
process.
At least got Larry Nance.
No terrible rebuilding team should ever draft based on need, obviously, at the top of the draft, but that just goes to show.
Well, I mean, look at us. I mean, we took Tatum and Jaylen back to back.
Yeah, right, exactly. And
imagine if we thought that. We're like, well, we just took Jaylen last year. We have Hayward. Like, yeah.
Right.
Never.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. So good lesson for any future drafters out there. That's never the way to go. But also, I don't even believe Magic when he says that. I also think they were so enamored by the glitz and glam of the BBB, and LeVar Ball pulled the veil over their eyes, and he was out in UCLA right in their backyard, and like they were so locked in on Lonzo. I don't even think they were scouting anyone else. Like, whatever.
Well, yeah, I don't know if we probably don't necessarily make that trade if we have any inkling that they might. Like, so they were locked in on that. So,
which is again absolutely pathetic to imagine that a competitive organization would tip their hand that badly that a team felt confident trading behind them was that confident they still wouldn't take the guy they wanted, wouldn't even think of it, and they never did. So
yeah,
pretty unreal.
We're
in
so
confidence,
blessed.
By the
way.
way.
Got so yeah. It's like, honestly, it's like, are we so blessed, or are the teams around us just so fucking stupid?
Right.
Because that is so funny. Especially a team like the Lakers, but
incredible.
That's whatever. But yeah, a night like this makes you think even more about how lucky we are to have Jayson Tatum as our star player, or at least one of our star players. So. Good stuff. What else do you see? Are we worried at all about the 3-point shooting? Like, at what point do we just start off so hot? And now this is, we can find somewhere in the middle between the start of the year and where we are now.
No, I mean, honestly, I think it's live by the three, die
Bad.
by the three is true.
Well,
It's,
yeah.
I mean, not great, but again, last game, our worst shooting game of the season, and we lost. But again, I think tonight showed that this team, the way to attack them is inside. They have no rim protection. Was tonight our season high for points in the paint? It must have been up there because we scored 60 points in the paint, dominated them inside. If we do a little more of that last game and focus on getting those good shots, we easily could have still won that game despite the awful shooting from three. So, no, I think more of this stuff is, again, we're just playing the law of averages. And like we said, if that means we lose 1 out of every 5 games even,
That's still, you take that deal,
excellent.
yeah.
So, yeah. So I think it just kind of so happened that we had 2 rough three-pointing nights in a row. And again, one of them tonight was a 25-point win for us. So hard to say you're worried about it, and something that, I don't expect that Derek White has just forgotten how to shoot threes, and Jaylen Brown and these guys just aren't going to make open shots, I'm sure.
No, but doesn't it get you a little bit worried if this type of spell comes at a more important time?
No, not really. I just think we're going to keep playing the same way, and water's going to find its
process
level.
over results. So I'm
Exactly.
playing a little bit of devil's advocate, but
no, I mean,
because I'm not like I'm
not worried
not,
about it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just not. Man,
Well, yeah.
if it goes on for a really extended period of time, maybe there's cause for concern. But even then, like,
the schedule's a little screwy right now for us. So
right, I think probably just getting back into a rhythm, and I think tonight, obviously, Tatum hopefully getting on track. Hopefully, maybe the start of him going on a diesel run. At least he's obviously been playing great, but a nice hot shooting spell, and then. Again, it's just all guys. It's not like guys who have just had like one great year or have had some fluky success in the past. It's guys who we know are excellent shooters, and I expect they're going to keep shooting it, and they're going to hit shots, and things will bounce back and even out. And like, again,
process
no Hauser tonight.
results.
If anything, there's worried about it's the Hauser, this lingering little back issue. No cause for concern yet, but that's another guy who can come off the bench any given night and add 5 threes to the mix, and just another option. He's going to hit open shots, improve the spacing, and probably help everyone else get better shots, help the ball moving, all that kind of stuff. So, felt the lack of his presence.
It's a little concerning.
No, I'm
monitoring the situation.
Yeah, as I say, no concern, but you feel free to monitor.
I'm monitoring.
That's
because Bax Passon's out now, and I feel like there's a little bit of I feel like he has a little bit of a Larry Bird character arc, so it makes me a little bit nervous.
Well, let's hope there's a lot more Hall of Fame caliber years before the back gets to him, then, if that is the case.
Have you ever seen that picture? Someone made like a picture where it's like they have like him shooting a shot and they have Larry shooting a shot and they both have their arms like, and it's like they're juxtaposed over each other. It's great. Second time I've used juxtapose in the podcast. That's good.
Wow.
Don't get those opportunities very often. So
no, that's
I'm really cashing them in. All right. Anything else from this game that you saw that you deem worthy of discussion, debate, banter?
No, not really.
So you're part of the problem with the NBA ratings.
What do you mean?
This is an amazing, exciting game. Of course, we can talk about. I'm just kidding. I don't need you to get going on about the Bulls like first round. Yeah, we don't need to get into that.
I was start talking about the Bulls because I do continue to be impressed by them overall.
All right, why don't you give us like a minute on the Bulls? No longer.
So. I mean, obviously, we just saw them twice in a row, so got a little used to them. You saw them play better in the first game. And I think tonight you kind of saw, obviously, Zach LaVine's not on the level of a Jayson Tatum, but this just gives you the idea of some teams out there where on any given night you can catch a star or a star level player, like we did on Thursday where LaVine had 36, 6, and 5, and a lot of people left that game who probably just watched the Celtics going, man. That LaVine guy's friggin' awesome. Like, I don't understand why they can't trade him. I don't understand why teams don't want him, blah, blah, blah. He looks like he could be a superstar. And then you see him tonight, and he completely falls back to earth. And for long stretches of the game, you didn't even really realize he was out there on the floor. You kind of forgot about him. He really didn't impact the game. And it just kind of goes to show when he's not going crazy like that, he's not able to rise to that occasion. It shows you how lucky we are to have a guy like Tatum who he doesn't have those nights where you don't feel his presence. You get the nights like tonight, and then even on his bad nights, he's still always impacting the game in a very positive way. So,
all right,
shows how rare that is.
I gave you an extra 10.
10 of those seconds I used on the Celtics.
fair. No, yeah, that's true. I did think you were going to go. I didn't think you were going to go in the LaVine direction. I thought you were going to go in the other direction.
I feel like I talked about the supporting cast a lot last game, which I like them again. But I just want to make that point of if people saw the Bulls the other night and they're like, that team's really good, why aren't they higher up in the standings. It's like tonight you
Yeah.
kind of saw the other side where they don't have a true superstar who they can rely on night in and night out. And
It's good. It's good.
when you don't
If you
have
want the
that
breakdown of the younger core of the Bulls, check out the previous episode of Chuddy's Corner.
Exactly.
We got episodes after every game, folks. So everything you get to go back, tell us this take was stupid. Look, you said this yesterday, now you're saying this today. Damn right I did. Say whatever works.
I also liked, I think it was another Tatum 3 that was like a total avalanche moment, and Al did his signature celebration where he calls T on points to the other team. Thought it was interesting him doing that to his old college coach, Billy Donovan. Obviously, they shouldn't have a great relationship, so
that's
just kind of funny to think about there.
That is like you get to go back to the schools, like super. So you go visit your old principal, and you're like wicked successful.
Yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, maybe we'll get that opportunity someday.
Can only hope.
Just why we keep grinding, why we do a game every night, why we grind this way.
Exactly.
All right. You got anything? I mean, I don't have a whole lot else on the game. I mean,
good Porzingis game. I thought Porzingis, it was one of his best games of the season. He looked very natural out there, and I thought he was finding a lot of good looks close to the basket, which I thought last year when he was really rolling was kind of the biggest part of the game. Like, obviously, those 30-foot threes off the pick and pops are eye-catching, and those alley-oop finishes are crazy, but
I feel like he's stuff right there.
He's really dominating when he's getting those mismatches, switching inside, and keeping the ball up high, and just making those like 8 to 12 footers look so routine. It felt like he had a few of those, and again, he had like a quiet 22 points tonight. And those are the games where you really feel like, Jesus, what do you do if you're another team?
Yeah. Well, I know. I just love he has that thing where he gets and he just like swings his arms. And it's like you're either gonna have to foul him or he's literally just gonna be so far over your head by the time he gets around. All right.
Yeah, and I feel like we haven't seen a ton of that this year. He's been a little more finesse, but tonight it seemed like he had no problem.
I think
going
he's
in
still
there
getting into shape really, because you see him come out sometimes looks like he's sucking wind. Yeah. Trust me, I get it, KP. Take your time, bud. I get it. The holidays too is gonna be the toughest time to get yourself into game shape.
No doubt.
We get it, brother. Take your time. Yeah. Don't go too crazy now.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Celtics come back, bounce back. Like I mentioned before, they're 6-0 after a loss, so they're yet to experience a losing streak this year. Hopefully that keeps rolling. And each one of those games too, I saw coming into tonight, it was over 17 points. So tonight, that's obviously going to move that number up even more. So Celtics look good after a loss. They bounce back. So this is another case of that. So, one more time, just so everyone can appreciate it. Tatum, 43 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists. The man went 9 for 15 from 3. 18 points in the third quarter. Really just took this game over, put it on ice. We'll I think it's your turn to give out a Chuddy chain. I think this one will probably be maybe obvious unless you want to pivot and do something else.
I'm not going to try to get crazy. I'm going to give it to Tatum tonight because, beyond the flashy stat lines and all that, it really felt like he did kind of take his game to another level when things were getting a little stale there in that third quarter. It was like he just made that decision of like, I'm the best player here right now. We are not losing 2 games in a row to this team. He completely took over in every facet of the game, and that's what you like to see, not just the kind of stats and numbers and highlight real plays, but it was like he was doing everything this team needed and kind of leading by example and almost dragging them to a higher level that obviously allowed them to completely run away with this game, which is what you want to see out of your superstar.
Yep. So Tatum's an obvious choice. I'm going to give this one. This is, I think, one of those cases where you give it to both the Jays. I'm going to give mine to Jaylen. I thought the way he came out of the game, the way he played early. We already mentioned it. He had, I think 8 points or whatever we say, 8 or 9 points in the first quarter. Finished with 19 points. He was 9 for 20 from the field, but he was over 5 from 3. So that just tells me those 9 points. He's getting out there. He's working hard. He's getting those points in the paint, not just shooting a bunch of threes. He had 8 assists as well. So 20 points generated off of his assists too. So, awesome. In a game like that where you kind of come out playing well, Tatum starts to do what he's doing, to be able to kind of still both of them play within the flow of the game and help the team out. Between the two of them, I think they've accounted for just with their assists alone, I think another 40 something points. So, good night out of the Stars tonight. The Chuddy Chains go to the Jays. I think that's fair. That's reasonable. That feels right.
Does.
All right. We'll pay a few bills and then we'll take a look around the NBA. Chuddy's Corner, shout out to our sponsor, Nick Perino Real Estate. Check out nickperino.com. That's NICKPIRAINO.com for all of your real estate needs. The kid just loves helping people get into homes. He loves moving into new homes himself, always on the move, always experiencing the realtor process. He's got both of the Chuddy studios are Nick Perino properties. He'll help you, big, small, local, anywhere you're going. He's the man to call. NickPerino.com. Check him out. All right, around the NBA, what do we got?
A lot going
Can
back.
we start with the Heat, because I think that's a funny place to start.
Sure, we can absolutely start.
The Heat were up by 25, and they absolutely collapsed against the Magic. And I think, if I remember correctly, if I saw the number, I'm going to pull it up now. They scored 8 points in the fourth quarter. They got outscored 37-8 in the fourth quarter to lose a game that they were leading, like I said, by 25. It's so funny on the Real app, which is a great app for stats. I'm just looking at it, has the box score, and they always have like some of the hashtags that like people are saying and like whatever, I guess the Real chat or whatever. And it's just a funny image. It's the box score of all the quarters, hashtag choke, and then it just says Orlando by 2.5, Magic covered. It's just like, damn, just an absolute fucking avalanche on the Heat.
Yeah,
you had this game on League Pass subscriber. Was it as funny to see in person?
Part of the solution.
Hashtag helping.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I feel like also very important to note for anyone who's maybe not thinking of this as well. This is a Magic team that, mind you, does not have Paolo Banchero, their best player. Does not have Franz Wagner, their second best player. Tonight, did not have Jalen Suggs, their third best player, who sprained his ankle the other night. Lost Mo Wagner to an injury during the game. So Wagners?
They have absolutely no Wagners out there?
Well, yeah, Mo was in for a bit, but he suffered an injury. But finished the game Wagnerless for this big run. So it just goes to show it's not even like the Heat had no Jimmy Butler, but again, that's just classic.
Stomach illness? Ridiculous.
Yeah, right, exactly. The Heat were playing well, 40-point first quarter. I think they had at least 30 in every quarter before just completely being unable to make a basket.
Can confirm that. 40, 36, 30, and 8.
Yeah,
it's
quarters. Just absolutely insane. Like, truly as wild and out of nowhere a turnaround as you'll see, and again, happening for a team without any of the guys who you think would spur a run like that. It was Cole Anthony, who had the best game he's had in a long time, a guy who's almost been out of that Magic rotation. And then Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, a guy who they signed to a big deal, has been a good leader for them, played good defense, but has not had the offense or shooting maybe that they would want. He had a big game as well. But this was just one team that looked inspired, locked in, playing together, and looks like they're, a franchise and an organization that's moving in the right direction, and one that looked out of sorts, frustrated, and I think it was kind of like a microcosm of where both of these Florida franchises are headed. Fun to watch, for us.
The Heat go on from halfway through the first to halfway through the second. The Heat were on a 40-11 run, and then it's like just basically for the whole fourth quarter, they show it as a 37-8 run for the Magic. So basketball is a game of runs. You go on a run at the right time. There it is.
Crazy.
But that is funny because like I said, I was listening to the game on the radio when they were doing the halftime. They had said like Heat are taking it to like the Magic, like they're up by whatever, and I'm just kind of like I really paid it no mind. And then when I was home, I was just scrolling Twitter like on a commercial, and the Magic had tweeted out like the win probability chart thing, and I was like, no. I just looked and I saw 8 points. Oh man, it was so funny. So
you really don't.
That's funny. Love to see that for the Heat. All right, what else? What else do you have for around the league?
Wild stuff, truly wild stuff. We mentioned last time that the Lakers and Kings play 3 times in 5 games, and it's almost like a mini playoff series. The Lakers have won both of the first 2 installments of that in tight fashion. Things not going well for the Kings, and we had a big story come out recently about De'Aaron Fox, and it sounds like he might be the next superstar to kind of be dangled on that trade market. He chose not to sign that extension, and there was an article, it sounds like his new-ish agent, Rich Paul, was in town to meet with the Kings and just kind of ask, like, hey, what's the plan here? So, interesting stuff could be on the move.
People
or at
love
least on
that.
the block.
How long is he under contract with them now?
He's got one more year. He's been there obviously for 8 years.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, he's been a loyal guy to Sacramento, and it does seem like
he's
they're
good
moving in the
too,
right
yeah.
direction. And now it's been a rough stretch. So, I mean, I don't blame him for wanting the team to improve. I wonder if this is partially kind of a play to spur them into action at the deadline.
I was going to say, what happened to the Kings? Like, they were, like, 2 years ago, Light the Beam, it was, like, the sickest shit ever.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, I know they, like, snuck into the playoffs, right? Or did they even get
They were
out
in
of
the play-in.
Yeah.
They were in the play-in and lost in the final play-in
What happened
game.
to that?
A combination of things. I think the West is just really good. There is not a ton of separation, and falling off a bit will kill you. And then this year, we've focused a lot on the team we saw tonight, Chicago, and how they've completely kind of morphed their team into what they've become this year. A big part of that was getting rid of a good player, but DeMar DeRozan, whose play style is kind of not that. DeMar DeRozan obviously now on the Kings, and he's kind of taken away the fun of what they were like.
Yeah, they were kind of a running gun team. Yeah,
exactly.
There
and
you
now
go. Holy shit, Jinx.
ISO minded. They slow it down. They shoot fewer threes, and DeRozan's kind of stunted the growth of Keegan Murray, one of their best young players. And again, I think they kind of have three almost number twos with Fox, DeRozan, and Sabonis. I'm not sure anyone is a true number one. Three really good players.
Are we sure DeRozan is still a number two?
Well, I don't know. That's what I mean, kind of. I think the team is it's good, but the West is really good.
No, they can't play a slow style. The Kings, they got to be
crunch
excited.
Time or something. So, yeah, again, I think they're a tweak or two away, and I think it's hard for me to, like, be mad or blame them, because I think that when you're a market like that, a franchise like that, DeRozan, like, if you can get him to come there, that's the kind of move you got to go for. It doesn't seem like it's working so great so far. But again, they've just lost a ton of close games, 6-12 in crunch time games. You flip that around, and the West is so jumbled up right now. Win a couple more of these close games than they've lost, and we're having a different conversation. But yeah, you wonder if they're a team that has to make a big move, and then
Mike
if things
Brown
go poorly
on the hot
enough,
seat, he's their coach still, right?
Yep. Oh yeah, you wonder if that move does become Fox heading out of town. I don't know, because like if they move him now, they could obviously still get a haul for him. If they're not going to max him out, we'll see what happens there. But that is an interesting name to monitor, because he's obviously a really good player. I mean, we've heard of some players on the market, but he would be definitely the best player and right in their prime. And one team that was specifically mentioned, the San Antonio Spurs, would be pretty amazing to see Fox and Wemby team up. Would get
send DeRozan back to the Spurs instead. What do you?
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Send DeRozan back.
The Spurs, another team I was going to talk about, been playing some really good ball. They won an intense battle in overtime the other night over the Hawks. An impressive win. Wemby had 42 points in that one. Another big win for the Spurs tonight.
On.
Well, yeah. So interesting play. I was going to ask you about. Yeah, he was a bust as they won that game.
He's a bust now after that.
42 points, and then tonight...
Oh, it's the same game? All right.
No. Well, that was the other night's game, so that was the last play. DeAndre Hunter had a dunk that tied the game. So this was kind of interesting. He stood over Wemby and kind of did something that would clearly get called a technical, and Wemby stood up and kind of just like got in his face just a little bit. So the refs, they called a technical on Hunter for like showboating, whatever. But then they quickly met and called it a double technical, which was ridiculous because Wemby did not deserve to get a tech at all. But I actually appreciated this because I think it was the ref realizing like, oh, fuck, it's a tie game and there's 7 seconds left. If I call that technical, that's like game. So I think he's like, we're just going to call it a double technical. And so like no shots, go on with the game. So it seems kind of
that's basically that being like
that's the right thing to do.
I'd say they don't call any technical at all, but you can't really do that.
Exactly. He had already called it, and then I think he was like, oh, fuck, I don't want to ruin the game. Like, I'm just going to call it a double technical.
See, like, if it's a league that you can't be, I mean, how tall is Hunter? Like, he looked like maybe like
6'7",
6'5", 6'7", 6'8". Even that. If you're dunking over a 7-foot alien like Wemby,
an awesome dunk.
Like, you should be able to do whatever you want after that. Like, it's like, as long as you don't, like, as long as there's no nudity or, like, you're not, like, smoking weed on the court or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, you should be able to do whatever. And if you're Wemby, too, and you act like, you have to realize that, like, that the guy isn't going to celebrate that. Like, and it's just...
Wemby didn't do anything wrong.
I know. It didn't seem like he did, but it's just, like, I just mean in general, like...
Yeah.
If you guys want the league to be successful, you have to realize that if I get dunked on, like, you got to put your pride to the side. Just be like, hat tip, That's
Yeah.
hard. I probably I don't know how well I would handle it, but
Right.
it's just, but I'm glad. I mean, it's good to hear that the rest, because I was wondering why it was a double tech when I saw the clip, and I was just like,
I think that's literally the only reason.
It's just ridiculous, the whole thing, but I was like, what is Wemby getting one for? He must have maybe done something when the clip ended, but that makes sense.
And they actually, the league rescinded it the next day, too. So he doesn't get charged with the tech for his stats.
So I guess,
that's so it's basically their way of saying, like, hey, we just didn't want to ruin a good game. And
I mean, although if you're the Spurs, I'd look at that and be like,
pissed.
I mean, that is a tech.
Yes. I know, but the Spurs did win the game in overtime, so.
All right, good for them.
Justice prevailed. And then that was Wemby had 42 in that one. Another win for the Spurs tonight. Wemby had 30 points, 10 blocks. So it seems like he's heating up. And then again, if they're playing pretty well. They're a few games crazy. Ahead of 500. So if they are really going to get in the mix, go for like a De'Aaron Fox, another superstar type of player alongside Wemby. And it's funny because everyone said last year, all like the analytics people would look at Wemby and be like, this team sucks. Like, how is he good? And everyone said the minutes he had played with Trey Jones, an actual point guard, they were like elite. Well, this year I just saw the stats that like when him and Chris Paul share the floor, the Spurs have a net rating of like plus 10.6, which is obviously right up there with like the Celtics and Cavs. So going and getting someone like De'Aaron Fox to pair with Wemby, I mean, when he plays with his first real like some superstar players, this could get crazy. And we might not be that far away from seeing it. So again, that's a pretty much a nightly tune in right there. So
stack rings. I know, and it's like I feel like you don't even hear about that at all. Like the NBA, market your shit.
Right. I know exactly. Frustrating stuff. I hate to see it.
I'm frustrated.
The Cavs destroyed the Sixers tonight. Not a big deal. They destroyed the Bucks last night too.
Love that.
That team's just rolling. They doesn't look like they're slowing down. I think anyone who kind of expected that was just like a hot start and they'd come back to earth. I mean, they may to an extent, but I think it's pretty clear it's a 1 and 2 in the East with the Celtics and Cavs in some order. And I don't think they might fall behind us because we're just so damn consistent. But they're here to stay. They're legit. So
I don't think they're gonna tail off, but I think I don't know if they'll continue. They might be like an Atlanta Hawks, like that time the Hawks were like a 1 seed.
Yeah, maybe, but I think their best players are better than like that Hawks team was just like a balance of really good players. I think Mitchell's like a legit top.
Mitchell is
guy.
a stud, and of course I think that because we're Celtics fans, he averages like a crazy amount against us. But no, he is good and he's a killer too. So
yeah.
I honestly never had an issue with the Cavs until now that they're good. I just see so many Cavs Twitter accounts that like where the fuck was Hoodie Garland like 2 years ago? Never even heard of you, Hoodie Garland.
Yeah, that's yeah. I don't know. I don't even know what to say about that. Really,
I saw. Oh no, I'm trying to think of. I saw who's like they had like a fun. They had like a one. Someone was like a whole montage clip of like name like a player that's better at this than some guy in the Cavs. And I was just cracking up. I'm like, that's just. This is a terrible story because I don't have the guy's name off the top of my head, but
someone on the Cavs right now.
Yes.
What skill?
Mobley, that's who it was.
Oh yeah, Evan Mobley. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, Mobley's a good player, but it's just like I feel like he's never going to be in any conversations that's like name a person that does this better than him, no matter what skill.
Yeah, well, maybe. I think he could be a defensive player of the year someday, maybe.
Well, if he does, then I'll wear a Mobley jersey for an episode.
Love that.
Put it down, mark it. Where's the intern?
It's marked.
All right.
Consider it marked.
All right. Yeah, no. Shout out. Yeah, I think the Cavs will be all right.
Yeah. And then
do you fear them?
I do not fear them, no.
Okay. Me neither.
Okay. But if I was any other team in the East, I would.
Right. Me too.
Okay. Which was kind of the point. But I think if you had said that at the beginning of the year, you'd say, wow, that's a win for the Cavs. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Would you rather be feared or loved if you're the Cavs?
Feared. Definitely feared. So,
mm-hmm.
Good for them. A lot else going on, but I think one more thing worth mentioning is, as we talk about these trade rumors, a team that's, I'm surprised to hear it, but has come to the forefront of a lot of these rumors, the Denver Nuggets, it seems like are actually legitimately considering a massive shakeup. So, interestingly, obviously they're not moving to Jokic. Murray and Gordon
No.
just signed extensions, so they are not trade eligible this season. So by default, that basically means for them to do any trade, they have to trade Michael Porter Jr. A good player, not a great player, makes 36 some odd million. So it's not like he has great trade value, but just in terms of matching any real contract. So the article came out, I think it was in The Athletic the other day, saying they have legitimate interest, and it said specifically they have significant interest in a guy we just talked a lot about, Zach LaVine. Fascinating.
Isn't that just kind of like the same thing?
Well, yes and no. So I mean, LaVine, in terms of him versus Porter, they're kind of similar. LaVine is a much better playmaker, a much better shot creator, which I think is a big part of the Nuggets' problem, is that when Jokic isn't doing everything, they don't have a second guy, with Murray kind of struggling. Porter Jr. is a really good movement shooter, but he can't create his own shot. He's not creating shots for others. LaVine, as we've seen, obviously can do that.
Yeah.
And again, you could kind of talk yourself into the fact that like it would be good for LaVine too, where as we saw tonight, he's not capable of being that guy every single night, but he's never played on a good team with obviously a player the caliber of Jokic. So you could say, hey, not only that, he's moving into this role where he doesn't have to be that guy. He basically has to just be it for, 10 minutes a night, and the rest of the game he can kind of float in and out, pick his spots, almost be like a prime Kyrie Irving next to a LeBron type situation. So that would be the argument in favor of LaVine. From my perspective, I agree with all that, and I think it could be really special on offense. I just don't see how you can go from Porter, who's far from an elite defensive player, but he's become a solid defensive player. He's a very good rebounder, and he's sneakily big. He's 6'10". LaVine only 6'5". Liability on defense, not super durable. I just don't think you can win a championship with a defensive backcourt of Jamal Murray and Zach LaVine. That's absolute barbecue chicken for any good team. Too many seals for our orcas to hunt.
Is LaVine capable of like some players like just get better at defense? Like I feel like defense, every player can be good at defense, but not all of them are. It's kind of what I think.
I don't think that's true, but
I mean, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Like I think in like like we had like Ray Allen playing pretty good defense. Like
Ray Allen's a hell of a defensive player.
Yeah,
Ray Allen's
exactly.
Yeah, but why would LaVine's not? Like LaVine's not.
No, he's certainly not LaVine. But I just feel like
defender.
No, I know, but I don't know. You've never bought in that theory that defense is kind of like a mindset. Like guys
I think that's
can
just
get
like a
better
cliche.
at it.
I think it's a cliche that people use to say like defense is effort, and I think obviously there's some of that is, but there's a lot of defense that's talent and ability as well. Some guys, right. I think, no matter how hard they try, they're only going to take them so far.
He's never going to be like a top defender. I'm just saying, like he can probably defend better than we've seen.
Sure, I think it's one of those things where you can maybe get away with like one of those guys, and I think for the Nuggets they already have kind of done that, where they were able to squabble by a top 10 defense in the year they won the championship with Jamal Murray, because they've always had a guy next to him like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, like an elite guard defender to kind of cover for him, and then Porter Jr., Gordon, obviously a really good defender, Jokic, not an elite defender, but he's absolutely massive, and is an elite rebounder and those other things. So it's like, yeah, you can get away with one guy who maybe is a below average defender, and if he's buying in and trying really hard, it'll work out. But if you're going to make it Murray and LaVine on the perimeter, those are your backcourt defenders. You don't have KCP anymore, so suddenly you're asking Christian Brown to be like, he's going to have to bump up from shooting guard to small forward and be like your only good perimeter defender. I just think you're spreading yourself pretty thin. You're playing with fire, and you're asking guys who historically have not been good defenders to suddenly be that on a team that you'd look at and be like, we've suddenly gotten smaller. We're already not a good rebounding team, and we just lost maybe our second best rebounder. And we've taken on a guy who, again, isn't a very good defender, and teams I think are just going to pick apart Murray and LaVine in the backcourt. I just don't think that's sustainable, especially in a playoff series. I don't know if you can even play those guys at the same time. Julian Strawther off the bench, another all-offense guy who's been a total liability on the defensive end, and Russell Westbrook, who's actually played really well for them, but is certainly at this point in his career not a great defender either. He can be a defensive playmaker, but again, I just don't think that's a viable guard depth backcourt for a team that fancies themselves championship contenders. But that's kind of what makes it so interesting, is that the Nuggets are at that point where they absolutely cannot afford to squander these prime years of Jokic. He is way too good for that. So it's like, you got to do something. And given what they have to work with, the choices aren't very good. So I think we actually could see them take a crazy swing like this and make a bid for like a Zach LaVine. And maybe the argument is just like, yeah, we're going to suck on defense, but there's a chance we could just have like the best offense ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie. You kind of had me in the first half with your pitch about Levine. I was like, sounds like it's everything the Nuggets need. And then you're like,
Might be worth a try.
However, he sucks at defense. It's like, okay, well, maybe it's not what the Nuggets need. I don't know, actually. No, but no, that was...
Seems like they got to do something.
It's definitely interesting. It's an interesting kind of thought, just like that kind of matchup. It'd be funny, too, because it's just kind of shows like the absurdity of the NBA and even life in general, that it's like we've talked so long about how will Levine finally get traded, like no one's gonna want to do it, and then it's like all it takes is like one team just being like, fuck, like totally. We won, but we gotta fix this shit. And like, I would have never, the Nuggets, if a year ago we had this conversation, I'd be like, the Nuggets would never want to do something like that. And now
right,
how thus is life. So
right,
that'll be interesting, something to keep an eye on. That also some of the stuff you're saying about Fox. So there's a little NBA hot stove.
It's heating up. It's officially heating up.
Hell yeah. All right, you got anything else on this, or?
Nah, we can save it.
All right. So next up we have
the Magic.
The Magic, of course. Yeah, heading down to Orlando, Disney World. I remember them saying that now on the broadcast. So we play the Magic again on Monday.
Yep.
I mean, you just told us they could be completely Wagnerless. No Paolo, obviously, as well.
Yeah. Maybe no Suggs, too.
Well, yeah, was that just kind of like
No, he hurt his ankle last game. Last game wasn't there today. I'm pretty sure it was an ankle injury.
He could be facing a hobbled Magic team. So what do you think?
They'll definitely be hobbled. Whether they have subs or not, they're going to be hobbled because they're not going to have Wagner. They're not going to have Banchero. Definitely, I would be surprised if Mo Wagner comes back and plays because of that, and then Jaylen Suggs too. So they could legitimately be an absolute skeleton crew. But as we just talked about earlier around the NBA, as we saw that amazing comeback, this team, they fight hard for their coach. Jamal Mosley's got them playing great ball. They're a young, confident, scrappy team. Next man up mentality. We saw Banchero went down and they didn't skip a beat. Wagner went down. They've fallen back a little, but they're still going out there playing hard no matter who it was. We saw, when those two guys went up, we saw Suggs go in and he was scoring 30 points a game out of nowhere. And now tonight we saw Cole Anthony stepping up. We saw Anthony Black in the starting lineup playing well. Goga Bitadze is giving them great minutes at center. So I would say even if on paper they're going to be missing a lot of guys, we'll probably be favored, but we should not take this team lightly. We've seen the way they work and scrap. They're still going to have some guys who will get after us. So if we kind of take it for granted, I think we could end up with some egg on our face. But if we go down there with the right mindset and remember that, this is a team that tried to build a little mini rivalry with us, even though some of those guys aren't there, we should go in with the attitude of kind of proving a point, making a statement, no matter who's on the court for Orlando. And I think things will take care of themselves.
All right, yeah, should be a good one. Exciting for it. Schedule's picking back up. We got Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, Tuesday games. Make sure you're checking out Chuddy's Corner. We got recaps after every single game. Go ahead and subscribe on all the different podcast platforms. Follow us on Twitter, too, at Chuddy's Corner. Go ahead and follow Chuddy. He's at King Chuddy. Follow me. I'm at Doug_outs. And yeah, we'll see everyone back here again on Monday for the Magic game. Chud, take care.
Peace out, Chuddy heads.